glad I didn't get too far. So I want to thank everyone that helped me with this. Since 2020, I feel like the people that were just meant to come into my life did. And it's been such a beautiful thing. It's like without effort, without confusion. It was just like these people just present themselves to me, and it's been absolutely amazing. And so I have to thank Larissa because she just reached out to me on LinkedIn one day, and it was just a slow conversation to start, but then before you knew it, we were working together, and it was just such a perfect fit. I could not have done it without her editing team. So Amy was the one that had, I think, done one of the first rounds of editing, and Ruth, you're amazing. You did I think the next round of the editing. And it was like your whole team, Larissa, Jen, kept the project going. And I loved how she held me like accountable. It was awesome. And Christina did an amazing job on the cover and the insides. I was just like so happy. And Aaron and Sam, like you had such a great team. And so I just thank you for that so much. It was so amazing. I just couldn't have done it without you guys. And so I know this is quick, Larissa, but this is actually when I'm going to put you on the spot because you were going to share a few words. So I'm going to stop sharing and I see if I can figure out how to bring you on.
Absolutely.
And I have people I'm adding, so I'm sorry if I seem like all over the place.
That's okay. You've got a nice big group here, Carissa. Congratulations. Obviously, this is all for
Thank
you,
you.
right? You've
I
earned
am
every
feeling
second.
the love. I really am. It's amazing. Okay, so do I make you a host?
No,
Or
I'll
no,
just
I don't
talk.
need
I
to do
mean, you
anything, Larissa. You just
can
get
do
to
anything.
talk. What am I doing?
Yeah.
This
Sit
is
back,
Larissa,
relax.
my publisher and coach, and she's going to share something. I don't know what.
I don't know what either. We're here to find out. Just a preface, I'm in a library because I was like, where better to have a book launch than go to a library? So if you hear background noise, that's what it is. I'm not cool enough to be in a coffee shop. So I started working with what was it? April of last year, right? And we started talking, we started going through it. And I think very quickly as a coach, you can tell when someone's going to make a good client, right? You can tell when they're responsive, when they're thoughtful, when they ask good questions, and when they really take time to integrate the responses and what they're learning. And I mean, Carissa, oh my gosh, hats off to you for taking everything I said in stride, and even the things you didn't agree with, you'd go back. And Chris's cycle of integration is like, no, I don't like that. And then she comes back with it. She's like, no, wait, okay, I actually liked that. Never mind. I did. And you can tell who's going to be a good client, but you can tell who's going to make a fabulous coach as well. And when Carissa and I started working together, she was fairly new into the life coaching space, and she was still finding herself and and how she wanted to serve and how she wanted to show up and owning her worth in the process, right? Yes, the a coaching and client relationship is a lot of times it's all about the client, but the coach holds such a special role in that. We hold such a responsibility in that space to honor the client, but to also honor ourselves. And I really got to watch Carissa grow over this last year into her role as a coach, not just through the book, but through our conversations and even through how she's showing up on social media now. And she's getting so much closer to charging her worth. I know she's going to just do amazing things there. And every time she came up against a roadblock, you could tell when the voice kicked in. I mean, we all have that voice, right? That inner voice that's like, no, I shouldn't do this. It's not safe. Who am I to do this? And every time she'd come back with basic like, of course I can do this. Like, who am I not to do this? Right. And I'm so grateful, Carissa, for being vulnerable and putting yourself out there and sharing what you did in this book, and for taking the leap in yourself, because the world is truly a better place with your words. In the I love when dogs are like, now I'm gonna speak. The world is a better place with your words in it and your light in it, right? And the more you grow into who you're becoming and who you want to be, the better we're all going to be for it. The people you work with, the people who get to work with you as your coach, as your mentor, as we all benefit when we all grow together. So, congratulations, Carissa. This has been an amazing journey, and you've earned every lump, bump, and bruise along the way has gotten you to this person that you are today, who we are all here to celebrate.
Oh, thank you so much. There was a moment when I was really doubting myself and questioning, and it was kind of crazy. I went for a weekday mass, and I was sitting in the church, and I'm just like, I just don't have this. It was towards the beginning of writing, and I was feeling really just down on myself. And I walked out of there, and it pops up on my watch that I have a voice message from Larissa, literally. And she was like telling me, I know what this is. Like, it's imposter syndrome. You have the talent, you lack the confidence. We can work on this. And it was just, I just like, I can't even tell you, there's something else that's flowing that's bigger than me, because it was like right when I needed it the most. That was like the big moment where you really got me over a big hump. And I'm just so grateful to you. Your approach made it so easy to write this book. It was not very long into the process. I said, I think I could have another one in me. Like, it was crazy. And I was like, I'm thoroughly enjoying this, even though it's stretching me and pushing me. So I just don't think I could have done it without all your team. The kind words from everyone and the encouragement. You know, I had this story that I didn't go to college. I can't write a book. I'm not educated enough. No one's going to read it. And it was like all of the support from your team. Even sometimes I think I said to Larissa, I was like, you just have to tell me this. You just have to tell me I'm okay, because we're working together. And it was like I had this such doubt. And I still do, right? That voice is still there sometimes, like we all have. But I've just come so far, and I'm so grateful to your team. So thank you. You have put together an amazing team of contributors, and I just felt all the support the entire time. And I'm just so, so grateful for that. And I already have people asking me about you and want to know who I worked with. So we'll be talking
Beautiful.
more. All right, so let me see what I got next here. All right, like I said, hopefully I'm not going to cry too much during all of this, but it's possible that I may. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit, and I'm probably going to take this slide off. But I just went, we don't have a lot of pictures from like, I think when I was younger, because we just were so busy, I think. But I grabbed some because there's a purpose to this. I just want to share, like, when I was on this journey, I realized that like there is so much more to me than these words and these ways that I'm describing myself. And what I'm hoping to do in a short little period of time here is to tell you why I wrote this book, who it's for, and like ultimately what it's about, right? So if I just jump away from the pictures for a moment and just explain, like, inherited programming, the way I interpret that is it refers to these beliefs and behaviors and the emotional patterns that we unconsciously adopted during childhood, through adolescence, and even into young adulthood. So that's what inherited programming means to me. It was things that I was exposed to that I sort of picked up because of repetition and impressions that were made upon me. So those really weren't mine. Those were not my things that of how I was when I was born. Like, I didn't have those things. They came from that exposure. And generational trauma, we all understand what that is, but it's really the emotional and the psychological impact of like past traumatic events, or a series of events. And those things kind of can get unconsciously transmitted across generations, like these unresolved wounds, that one generation to the next sort of carries. And even though you didn't maybe even experience some of that first trauma, it's coming through you, even through the exposures and the narratives and everything you're hearing. So I wanted to explain that a little bit. What is this inherited programming and generational trauma? So why did I write this book, right? So um, these pictures represent kind of my journey, because as I was transforming and changing, I went back and looked at that like first picture of me at 3 years old. And I'm like, who was she? She's so happy. She's so like vibrant, right? This smile. And if you look at me at 33, I'm pretty miserable. And that is a good representation of what I felt like most of the time. And so in those the tween and teen years, there was a lot that was happening that I was trying to make sense of and adapt to my environment and figure out. And so it's like I started realizing like all these things make me who I am today, but that's not how I started. And so I felt like for those first 47 years of my life, I was really just trying to survive and figure it out. And I didn't like how my life was unfolding. I didn't like the way it felt. So I'm going to stop sharing so you can see me more, not the screen. But basically, I'm going to start it this way. And it might seem a little weird, but I'm just going to go with it. I want to say 9.7 miles. What does that mean? 9.7 miles was my commute home from the business that I had worked in, our family business, for over 30 years. But 9.7 miles was my commute distance home for the last 17 years that I worked in that company. And it was the same stretch of road and the same routine and the same brain and the same stories for 17 years. And I would make that drive and I would just be dreading the drive to work and I would dread the drive home from work. And I just could not drop into any sort of like calmness. I had such an emotional dysregulation in my body. And I tried to hide it. I tried to figure it out. I tried to battle it. But the funny thing is, I thought the 9.7 miles was my problem. Like I used to say, it's because I don't have a long enough commute to go from work to home and I can't reset. And it's like, I believed that for a long time. If I could just make my drive longer, then maybe all these problems will go away. So for a lot of years, I didn't even know what was wrong. I didn't know how to find it. I didn't know how to feel better, but I just knew something didn't feel good. So I had these issues, right? Controlling, perfectionism, super high achieving, a lot of self doubt, a lot of fear and worry. I was riddled with guilt and shame for a lot of choices I had made in my teenage years and young adulthood years. And that left me in this place where I was like so emotionally dysregulated. I was on this success treadmill, right? Let's get the house, let's get the cars, let's get the job, let's have the kids will be perfect. But like I was just prioritizing everything external and nothing internal. And so I really felt miserable the majority of my life. And every day on that 9.7 miles, I literally still have it. I laminated this prayer. I laminated it and I kept it in my car. And I would say this prayer on the way to for work and from work. And it's like I had faith, but where I ultimately came to is like I keep asking for this to get better, but I have been given a brain and a soul and a spirit and intelligence and feelings, and I need to figure this out. I'm not utilizing the skills that I have to make myself feel better. And so all those years of doing that over and over again. And, I had this period of 5 years where numerous substantial life events happened that involved loss and stressful situations. And I think that was setting me up for that awakening. And sometimes awakenings come through very difficult times, but that was when I stopped in 2020 and I said, what is my role in all of this? Why do I act this way? Why do I feel this way? Why do I show up like this? Why am I sometimes so mean? I'm not kind. Why am I like this? Like, that's not who I want to be. And I just didn't want to be that way any longer. And that's when I began my journey of figuring it out. I had been to therapists. I love therapists. We need them. But coaching was the thing for me that shifted because it's very action oriented. And that was the piece I was missing. I'd leave a session and say, yeah, I get that, I didn't know how to change it. And I needed the missing pieces to follow. And so when I changed my life, it came I really worked intensely for about a year, started uncovering what are the areas of friction in my life, right? I got friction with my husband. I got friction with my kids. I'm I'm screaming at him. I'm yelling at him. I'm yelling them to get their butt in the car for church. And then I go to church and put on the show. And then I leave church and I scream at him. It's just, and this went on for years. And it caused so much drama and so much chaos. And I always felt right. I felt like I'm right because I had some inherited programming that really was embedded in me that I'm right. I'm doing this the right way. But I wasn't doing it the right way. I realized that I could change this. And I really had to rewrite everything I knew about success. Everything that I thought it is not what it is to me now. And I have gotten very good at getting uncomfortable because I have accepted that life is supposed to be difficult. I've dropped the victim mentality. And, it's a whole journey what I went through, and that's what I guide women on now. So, why did I write this book? Because as I started working with majority women, I saw so much pain, so much baggage that they were carrying that was not even their own. Women that can't live their own life the way they want to because they're trying to appease a family member, a parent. And it pained me. And I had gotten to this other side now of like, I got to pinch myself. This is amazing. All the buffers that I was doing, the alcohol, the drinking, the eating, the being hard on my body, like I had figured this out. And I thought, I don't think there's anything so special about me that I can't show someone else this. And so as I kept seeing women who were suffering, I was like, I have to write. I have to do this because I can't work with enough people. And maybe if I write a book, I can reach more people. And they can maybe get one little golden nugget from this book and change one of those friction points in their life. And so that's how this came about. It was originally something that I wanted to do for me, but very quickly it became like a calling and something I was meant to do. And I think that's why it flowed as beautifully as it did, even though there were challenges and growth. And so I have to pinch myself some days because of the life that I've created. And it hasn't been easy, and there's challenges every day, but I just would not trade this for anything. The emotional dysregulation that I used to deal with was so, so draining. And I was just really not showing up as the best version of me. And so when I look at that 3-year-old picture of me, I feel like more like her now, not that 33-year-old. So a lot of the weight that we carry is not our own. It's things that we've picked up. And if I can help someone understand that and change their life, then I've done a good job. And I've gotten everything that I've probably needed out of this experience if I didn't sell one copy. Because to have both of my kids come to me and tell me that they see the different person that I am today and that I'm able to be there for them emotionally when they're struggling, but mom's not so dysregulated or scripting out their life, it's amazing. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And so every day that I work with women and I see the different variations of pain, it's just, I was meant to do this. And so I just hope that it will help people and that it'll make a difference in their lives. And that's why I did it now. Because I believe once you see something, you have to share that. And it would be wrong of me not to share it. So thank you for all listening for that. I went into a lot more depth than I had even planned. But I think it's important to know what this project meant and why I did it. We're still doing okay on time. I may have to scrap some of the trivia, but we'll see how it goes. But I want to read to you my introduction chapter. I was trying to figure out which part of this to just quickly read. And I was in church today and I was like, I'm just going to flip through. What should I read? And, I kept going back to the introduction. So we're just going to stick with that. So, all right, sit with me here and I'm going to read you the introduction to Why Am I Like This? It's called Stepping In. So in 2017, at 44 years old, I sat in my office at our family business, hearing my brother say the words, I think Dad may be a narcissist. A narcissist? What is that? I'd heard this word before, but I didn't know its meaning. As soon as I turned to the internet to search, I realized that maybe there is a valid reason I am the way I am. Maybe there is a reason for all my selfish, reckless, impulsive, and self-sabotaging actions throughout my childhood and teenage years. It is possible that my belief that I ended up becoming a terrible mother came about because of what I learned growing up. Maybe it's not all my fault after all. All these years, I thought I was born this way and was just broken without a reason. Wow. Was uncovering this going to become my new purpose in life? By nature, humans are creatures of habit. We are shaped by repetitive thoughts, deeply ingrained neural pathways, and familiar behaviors. It took me several more years to fully unravel the narcissistic patterns within my family of origin. and understand the profound impact they had on my life. I eventually came to see how this factored into my childhood and the life I was living as an overdrinking, stressed out, toxically driven, married, working mother of 2 children. Yet for the first time, I felt a strange sense of hope. Hope that there was a reason for all I had seen, heard, and been exposed to throughout my life, and for all the choices I had made along the way, the good, bad, and the ugly. This is why I'm here right now, sharing my story of how I resurrected all this emotional load out of me, like the Titanic rising from the ocean floor. All the secrets my baggage held, all the lost articles that have been rescued had their own story to tell. Some were painful, some not as much. There were even some treasures among the debris, but I always knew I held a deep yearning to release it. Perhaps this is the final step in my healing journey, to share with others how to seek out the patterns passed down through the generations, shaped by unresolved trauma, our inherited programming. I'm not quite sure yet, as I am still opening doors that my source, God, seems to place in front of me. But for the moment, I sit outside on my deck writing this book on a Sunday afternoon, looking up at the white fluffy clouds in the sky, feeling the warm sun beating down, smelling the fresh cut grass, and having to pinch myself that I created this life I'm now living. Feeling nothing but peace and calm in my mind and body. I chose this, a life I never thought would be possible for me just 4 short years ago. As you'll learn in the coming pages, I was born into what felt like a machine, a family business lasting for 47 years, where I spent the bulk of my childhood growing up at a rate much too fast for a kid. This book and its contents are meant to serve partly as a cautionary tale, partly as a roadmap to the land of transformation and possibility, and partly as a celebration of what can happen when you take responsibility for your life. Through this process, you are going to uncover what is weighing you down and decide what parts you intend to keep. And then when you will know what you are ready to let go of. We are going to do this together, hand in hand, spirit in spirit. Through my own journey of transformation, I now understand that every family has something going on behind the scenes. I was born into something that was already well underway. I see that now, and it has been going on for generations. And I gather that you picked up this book because it has already shown up in your life and you desperately want to feel better. Since we all have something, what form of trauma have you inherited? A mother who people pleased everyone? A father who refused to admit mistakes? Emotional neglect, alcoholism, addictions, abuse? The secret is in becoming aware, to come to know all the parts of you that were gifted by your upbringing, how and why you became you. The things you do and say that were born out of childhood programming, why you are like this. What I learned the hard way is that it is one thing when it's just you in the picture, but as your family grows, you affect the lives of others. What transpires can become something you never wanted to bring into your life and to those you love. It's not your fault. It wasn't my fault, and we didn't know any better. However, as part of this process, as Maya Angelou says, when we know better, we do better. I lived the first 47 years of my life riddled with anxiety, control issues, perfectionism, low self-image, obsessiveness, fear, and worry. And through my journey of self-discovery, I began to make sense of my family dynamics, and I have been able to recognize, understand, and reframe and heal these patterns. So as you read through this cautionary tale, turned transformational story, I encourage you to turn the focus on yourself and reflect on your own life. I invite you with a loving embrace of encouragement to reflect on your journey through childhood to young adulthood and consider how it shaped the person you are today. I will hold the strength for you as you begin to identify areas in your life where greater awareness is needed. I lost my spot. To recognize the patterns you've unconsciously repeated over the years and gain a greater understanding of the impact they've had. I will guide you as you decide what emotional baggage and debris you are ready to release, to leave it buried on the ocean floor where it no longer weighs you down. Allow yourself permission to step into what is possible in your life. I started in one place that felt broken and unrepairable and moved through all of it to get to this other side that is better than anything I could have dreamed of. Imagine what could be waiting for you on the other side. I finally found the strength and courage to do this for myself. And now, as a professionally certified transformational life coach with a lifetime of experiences in leadership, I show others how to do the same. As you uncover deeper insights within yourself, imagine how your own revelations can pave the way for a life filled with more peace and joy than you ever thought possible. I am honored to walk with you as you truly begin your transformation story. Let's dive in. Thank you all for letting me read that and share that. You know, I think that I wrote the book that certain people are going to need because I read a lot of books, and some books I read are so heavy and so way over my ability to really engage with them. And I feel like I wrote a book that the average person can pull something out of and apply it to their life and change it, even if it's just one thing, right? What's one area of friction in your life that you're dealing with day after day, and you don't even really understand why it's happening that way? And maybe we aren't self-aware enough to recognize what's even going on. And that's my hope, is that this book can offer that for anyone. And so while it is, really geared towards women who are stressed out and overwhelmed, honestly, I feel like anyone could get something out of this because it shows you how to look at these different friction points in your life and ask yourself those questions. Was this mine? Where did I get this from, right? I know I didn't come out of the womb as this stressed out, toxically driven person, right? That came through my programming. And so we're all like that. And we all have this narrator up here, and it's not going to go anywhere because we have that for safety, but you can retrain your brain. And that was a new concept for me. And so, for anyone that doesn't know that, through repetition and intentionality, you can change the way that you are for something that feels better. So, I'm just so excited for this to be out in the world. And it's hard, it's vulnerable because you're sharing your heart and the rawness of it. But like I said, if it helps one person, then what I feel like I was called to do was successful. And I think that's why I went through a lot of the struggles I did in my life for a bigger purpose that I see now, which is really an amazing feeling to be able to take some of the most difficult parts of your life and see the beauty in that. That's an amazing thing. So thank you all. Let me see what I got next here on my slides. Um, Hey, it's trivia. So we're going to go from all emotions into like celebration. Ah. So there is no, pressure on this. There's no awards going to be given out, but my hope is that some of you can just get to know me a little better. Some of you are my family and friends, and you know me very well, and you may know all the answers to these. But for those that don't, hopefully you'll get to know a little bit more about me. And if you do pick up my book, you'll kind of feel like we have some connection, right? You've gotten to know me a little better. Okay, so everybody seeing my screen? We good? Okay. So, number one, before becoming a life coach, what was my profession? And you can put these in the chat if you want, or you can just say them to yourself and see if you're right. But what was my profession? I'm not going to let too much time pass here since I have like 10 of these, but I was the co-owner of a 47-year-old family printing and marketing company. Started as a printing company, and we converted it to marketing as well later on. That was my profession before. Number two, I don't know who said that because it's got my name. How many years have I been running my full-time coaching business? Does anyone know how long it's been? 4. Angie, you are so close. The answer is 3.5 years. So I think you're close enough on that, Angie. Feels like it's been longer than that, but All right, I mixed in some learning here because that's what I always do. Number three, what is the term for your brain's amazing ability to change and create new pathways? Is it psychoplasticity, synaptic recall, neuroplasticity, or cognitive restructuring? Bronwyn says A, psychoplasticity. We have a C and a D. It is neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is your brain's amazing ability to change, adapt, and reorganize itself by forming new connections and pathways throughout your life. And this was the golden ticket for me, but I'd never heard of this before. Through repetition and through intentionality, you can change your brain. I'm telling you, if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be the person that I am today, I would have said, you are out of your mind. There is no way. And I sit here before you now by being intentional about retraining our brain. So it is true, it works, and any of us can do it if we just put forth the effort. Number four, why does my book have 10 chapters? A, it just worked out that way. B, Larissa, my publisher, told me to. C, it's my favorite number because of my birthday. And D, I started writing poetry at 10. What does anyone think? D, C, I feel like I should know, but A, who is this? I don't know who that person is. It's got my name. C, it is C. It's my favorite number. I always try to do everything with a 10. I will tell you though, I do think I started writing poetry and it probably was around age 10. I just don't have, oh, it's Larissa. I don't have the actual date for sure of when I did mess around with poetry, but I think it was probably around that age. So you're probably pretty close, whoever said D. I think Marita did. Number five, what's one of my favorite ways to practice self-care? So think quiet time. Does anyone think? Beautiful meditation, massage. Oh, Angie, you are so right. How did I miss that? Reading for sure. Walk. The answer is journaling. And I spend like 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, and that has been transformational for me. I was recently listening to a Mel Robbins podcast, and she had a guest on, a brain neuroscience guy, and he was talking about during COVID how they took a whole grouping of people, in the midst of this pandemic that were struggling, and they took like 18 different approaches to help your mindset, self-care, and they said the one thing that showed up in every person as moving the needle and helping them was journaling. So while some things might help some groupings of people, it was the journaling that made the massive difference for everyone. And I thought, oh, that was like how my journey started. So if you're against journaling, see if you can get yourself to warm up to it. It is really transformational. I started out with 3 minutes, just writing what's on my mind, and it was transformational for me. Number six, another teaching one. True or false? Generational trauma can only affect the person who directly experienced it. What do I think? Oh, we got fast answers coming in this one. You guys are great. False. It can absolutely be passed down through families, which is really, really amazing to know that, right? To be aware. Number seven, besides coaching and writing, what's one thing I love doing? And so think hobbies. Car show, biking cars. You guys are all watching my Facebook. Riding your bike. Yeah, so I try to make this one easy on you guys because I know I have a lot of things I love to do, but I love mountain biking, reading, walking. Bronwyn knows I love my Judge Judy or my crime shows. And I do love driving my car to car shows. That's something my husband and I have done since I was like 20. We've done that together. We didn't have sports cars while the kids were younger, but now we're back in that sports car phase. So that was on hold for quite a while. Number eight, until age 50, I had 0 tattoos. And I will tell you, I was very judgy. And I told myself I would never have one. And I was mean. I judged a lot of people for their tattoos. But how many do you think I currently have? 1, 2, 3, or 4? We got lots of threes. Oh, you guys are good. I currently have 3. I said I probably have no plans to get any more. I really don't. But if my son wanted to get one with me, I would probably add another one. So Number 9, true or false? According to experts, a large percentage of our daily thoughts are repetitive from the day before. True or false? Rowan says true. Larissa says true. Ruth says true. You guys are a smart bunch. Kevin says true. Yes, it's true. They often say 80 to 90% of our thoughts are repetitive from the day before. So can you imagine if you're having a really down day? It doesn't just last for a little while. It can have a much longer lasting effect on us. So that's why we got to catch those sneaky little things and start to change our whole relationship with them. All right, guys, last one. I got through them all. I was rushing a little. Number 10. How long did it take for me to write? So write the manuscript for Why Am I Like This? Just, I know I'm not giving you much hints on that one. I mean, you just got to guess. 9 months, 1 year, 10 months, 16 months. The answer is 6 months. I really felt like it flowed out of me once Larissa got me going. So from May of 2024 to October of 2024, that is when I wrote it. And that was the spot that I took pictures because I was just sitting there writing on my laptop. And that's where the majority of the book was written. So when I talk in the book about looking up at the fluffy clouds and smelling the grass and everything, I thought maybe I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So thank you all for doing that with me. Um, all right, I got to put the plug in here for the book, right? You guys are probably so tired of seeing all my rosy posts. I'm kind of tired of posting about myself, to be honest. It's kind of hard. Um, so your purchase does matter. You know, again, like I said, I've gotten everything I needed out of this project already, but I really do want it to get in the hands of people to help them. And so if you do buy, you know, on that day one, it signals to Amazon that, you know, this is a book worth looking at. But I'd be happy for anyone to, you know, purchase this book, give it to someone else, or purchase one for someone else that you maybe think is struggling, if you can do that in a nice, compassionate, loving way. And if you do read the book, write me an honest review, you know, whatever you think. I have prepared myself for all the good, bad, and the ugly. For any of you that follow my YouTube channel, I have a video on there where somebody had cracked on my eyebrows like a couple years ago. And I really turned that into a success story of you know, just fixing my eyebrows because I wanted to after getting that feedback. So I'm ready. I am ready to deal with the good, bad, and the ugly on any reviews that I get. But I know that that's helpful for, you know, building the awareness and the following for people to find my book and all of that. So anyway, this is the code for the Amazon order page. So feel free to snap a picture of that if you haven't already been able to check it out with my bazillion post. Oh, well, thank you, Larissa. Reviews are for the readers, not the author. I love that, and I am not going to forget that. I love that. Reviews and book recommendations make authors very happy. This is so helpful to know. All right. So I want to thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule because I know we're all short on time. Thank you for celebrating with me. I would love to stay connected with you. If you scan this code, a different code, it's my link tree. So it has everything for me. So I'm mostly on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I have the YouTube channel. I have over 180 videos now. Some are short, where they're just little tutorials. You can find all of that here. So feel free to scan that and stay in touch with me. Thanks to the lovely Angie who is on this call, my massage therapist who's amazing. We are having a brunch and book signing in August at her place. So if you're local, that's something you can save the date for. We're going to have a fun event there. Really looking forward to that. And so I can't believe I have a couple minutes left and I want to see if anybody has any questions. If you don't, that's okay. But if anyone does have any, I would love to answer them, and I'm going to stop sharing.
I'm going to steal a question that I got during one of my book launches that threw me for an absolute loop. So now I'm gifting it on to you.
Thank you.
What music pairs well with reading your book?
Ooh, wow. That's a hard one, Larissa.
I know.
So the first thing, and this isn't really going to answer your question, but it's like what's popping in my head because I was trying to figure out how I could play a song at the beginning of my thing tonight to get me really fired up and just get everybody, getting into it. And I will tell you the theme song for me while I wrote this book, and then I'm still going to try to think of an answer for your question. I'm a big fan of Pink. My daughter and I went to her concert a couple years ago, and she has this song called Courage. And that song, if you look at the lyrics, is like my jam for writing this book. I'm usually not a person that cuts loose, but there were multiple times, I would turn that thing on and crank it up and just listen to the words, and it really helped me get through this book. But what song would pair well? I mean, I feel like that one, so I'm gonna stick with that. Like that worked for me. If you're not a fan of Pink, any song that just really drives that like courage. So if you have any songs, that come to your mind for courage, because that is really what it took for me to do this. I was scared. I was afraid to change my life. I had a lot of evidence that I thought was factual that I could not do this. And I didn't do it alone. I have a great partner. I mean, my husband's amazing. He has never, ever not supported me in how many years have we been married? Now I forget. We've been together since 1990. So we've been together for 35 years. Forget how many we've been married, 27, 28. He has always supported me. So I couldn't have done it without him, I'm afraid, but I did have to find my own courage. There's also a line in the book where I talk about like, you are your own rescuer. I kept waiting for somebody to change my life or make me feel better, and that was not coming. And so it really had to be from the inside out that I had to make the change. Oh my gosh, Marcia, you're going to make me cry because my dad listened to Enya, and he passed away in 2022, and that has been a song on my playlist, several of the Enya songs, because I think of him. And I can't believe you just said that, because it's not somebody you hear about a lot. So see, I just met her a couple years ago. It's amazing how this happens, but hope I answered your question. I gave you a very long answer. Thank you all. Any other questions, anybody? Thank you all for being here. Like you have no idea what this has done for my heart. Um, I just think we're all so amazing. And if we could just recognize our talents and our strengths and then be willing to look at the things that we maybe want to work on, we can be strong enough to do it. And I hope that my book inspires someone to face that head on and make that change. So thank you all. I love you all so much. Family, friends, people I haven't known for very long. You just all are so amazing to me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me. I will hopefully see you all soon. Bye, everybody.